crazy day. Do you mind getting something for me in my car? There's a paper on top of it. Crazy day. There's just a pack of paper. No.
Were you parked outside?
Huh? Yeah, it's a way navigator.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by the gate. Yeah. Two minutes, huh? 5 minutes, okay. We'll start in about 2 minutes. Give us 1 minute, we'll start.
Recording.
Are you good? Yes. Good? Yeah? I never heard of it. You have them too? You have Arya too? You too? You like them?
What is it regarding?
Ready? Somebody's better than my notes.
Still a lot more people coming in.
Huh?
A lot more people coming.
How many more?
It's like,
You want to do something? You can't have me a second.
who? Mr. Who?
Yes.
I'll push just in case.
Okay, exactly. That's all. No.
4 months. Okay, for sure. There'll definitely be one. All right. Ready? Let's go.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Welcome to the Lighthouse Project. We're here with Gedale Fenster tonight, and we are in for a treat. It's an amazing class, and we're very excited about it. Tonight's dedications. Learning is dedicated in memory of Devorah Fega bat Shmuel and Moshe Halevi ben Shoshana Zichrono Lebracha. And for the Refuah Shlema of Chana bat Shani, Yaakov ben Pnina, and Menachem Mendel ben Sarah Batya. Tonight's nightly sponsors, Danielle and Tuvia Kimmel, for the success of their children, Gabriel Yehuda, Binyamin Aryeh, Meir and Chana Bene Dalia Ayelt. Anonymous, in memory of Shlomo, Yeshaya Baruch ben Reuben Zichrono Lebracha, and for the zivug and success and health of Shammai Simcha and Fego Bene Liba. Anonymous, in memory of Shulamit bat Simcha Zichrono Lebracha.
Amen.
The Dubinsky family, congratulations to Gedalia on his interview from Israel and accomplishing your goals and having continued Hatzlacha.
Amen.
Jennifer Chana Frand, in honor of her birthday, for the continued health of Menachem Mendel ben Chana, in honor of Gedalia, for helping all of Klal Yisrael rebuild their own personal Beit HaMikdash every day.
Amen.
Anonymous, in honor of Devorah Bat Vittel and Arya Reuven ben Shena Rochel for the Shalom Bayit, and in memory of Vittel Bat Moshe Zichron Levracha, and for the health of Shlomo ben Esther.
Amen.
Toby Rubenstein, in honor of her husband's big 65th birthday, Felipe Baruch Hashem, may he celebrate until 120, and in honor of Gedalia's wife, Elisheva Bat Nava, for being his coach and cheerleader in order for him to grow and become the great speaker that he is.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Abe Tebel, in loving memory of his grandfather Abraham ben Regina Zichron Levracha, in honor of his wife Esther Bat Chavan, for the family of Abraham ben Yael, for continued Yeshua.
Amen.
David Rishti, in honor of his wife Tali, for being the best wife and mother. Anonymous, in honor of Gedale Fenster.
Amen.
Anonymous, in memory of Edward David Shaul Zichron Levracha, and thanks to Gedalia for impacting his listeners' lives. Hashem should bless him. Gabrielle Arel, for the refuah shlema of Dalia Bat Lili, and the success of Ben Dalia and Gabrielle Marguerite Bat Yael Simcha.
Amen.
Anonymous, in honor of Violet Batia Bat Maria Mazal, for Shalom Bayit, Parnasa, Hatzlach, and her children should go in the path of Torah.
Amen.
Anonymous, in memory of Baruch ben Mordechai Zichron Levacha, for the Shalom Bayit and Parnasa of Karen Hula Bat Chedba and Isaac ben Farouk, and for the well-being and usher of Chedba Bat Fanny. And finally, anonymous, in the merit that Hashem sends complete healing to all those parents that have been alienated from their children and grandchildren.
Amen. Amen. Also, this class is in honor of success of my wife, obviously. I had to get that out of the way. You should know how important this topic is. Shalom Bayit is a major, major topic. Obviously, we know what the divorce rate is today. And the purpose of today's class is to give everybody, just to give everybody an open mind and a realistic understanding on Shalom Bayit. The more you know something about something, the more mercy you get in heaven. So it's very important. You can't say, I didn't know. Today, there's a lot of information out there. We can't just say, I didn't know. It's in life, people say, what you don't know won't hurt you. No, what you don't know is what's hurting you. So a person has to understand he has to pursue da'at. If something's broken in your life, if your business is broken, you have to figure out why it's broken. If something is not working, you have to figure out why it's not working. You can't just have a very passive attitude and say, it's not working. Maybe it's that, it's maybe that. So that's why it's very important to have, the key to this is to have a very proactive and seeking approach on how to better our marriages and etc. And also, it's also for a relationship also with a person's future spouse, if a person's not married, etc. We're going to take the content tonight is going to be taking a lot of it from Rabbi Rush's class, a lot of it from Rabbi the Arizal, and also from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So we're going to cover basically Chabad and Breslov pretty much on what are they saying, what are the keys to marriage. Obviously, myself being experienced with many, many, many people, and I know exactly, I could see very similar patterns that why it's not working for this guy, why it's not working for that guy, what's working for one person, what's not. So it's not just seeing it, I have case studies, so I'm able to see exactly what's working, what's not working. Obviously, man and woman have two different rectifications, and we both have to know our role. Just like the pitcher cannot be the catcher, and the catcher cannot be the pitcher. If the pitcher is the catcher and the catcher is the pitcher, then you have a lot of confusion today. And I think that's what today's thing is. There's a lot of confusion today in this topic. So we're going to take a couple strong things to understand. First thing that we need to understand, that the way God, we have to look at marriage as a opportunity, not as an obligation. If you look at your marriage as an obligation, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. Anytime you put low effort into anything, it's because you're viewing it as an obligation, not as an opportunity. We need to understand that. Marriage has to be an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to give. Remember, marriage is one of the things, in relationships, it's a challenge. It's a challenge that leads to growth. And unfortunately, if the challenge is not done the right way, it can lead to the opposite also. I myself, first marriage was divorce, and I know what it is to go through a bitter divorce, and I know what it is and I got remarried, thank God, pretty soon afterwards. But I have a lot of experience in this, and I've seen a lot of different angles, and I just want to point out today, again, people have other opinions, but let's just hear, because, if the classes make everybody happy, then I have a problem. Then I'm not doing something right. If they're making everybody happy and they're not stinging you a little bit, then you're just hearing, the parsha of the week. They have to sting you a little bit. The classes should bother you a little bit. It should bother you because if you're doing everything right, then chances are you didn't need the class. But it's very good that something should leave you a little uncomfortable in the class. And what is that sign, being uncomfortable? It's a sign that change needs to happen. And that's why I understand. Don't think, if something you don't like, just be open-minded. And that's the key today, is just to have an open-minded mindset. We're going to begin with the Rabbi Nachman's. He gives a very small lesson. And this can be applied to almost anything in life. The more limited a person's intellect, let's understand this concept. The more limited your mindset, the more limited your intellect, the more respect one needs. It's not a good sign that you always need respect. Because technically, kavod is something that we should be giving what? Our Creator. The more kavod, the more respect you're seeking, the more your Creator goes away from you. Let's understand that. Just like a small child needs a lot of attention because he's a small child. But if that child continues to be a small child and becomes a big child and needs that attention, it's not a good sign. So complaining that I'm never getting respect, it means the person's running after respect all the time. It's a sign that God's away from that person. Your Creator's away from that person. Because honor and respect. So the bigger your mindset, the more humble and smarter a person is, the more open-minded, the less kavod he should want. He shouldn't want kavod. Kavod is not something you want, and it's very frowned upon in spirituality. Because why? Kavod means I always need to be validated, I always need respect all the time, and it's the ego. So how do you know you're in a good place where you don't need respect all the time? Where you don't need, obviously I'm not saying be in an abusive marriage, God forbid, but you shouldn't look for kavod. Basically, you shouldn't say, I'll talk to him only when he apologizes. I'll talk to her when she apologizes only. It's not the money, it's the principle. This is a sign of a very small mind. This is a sign that that person needs a lot of respect. So people that are very argumentative all the time, they probably think they're going to live here forever. We know that our time in this world is very limited. People that major in minor things, that complain about every little thing, it's a sign that, you think you're going to live forever? So it's a sign that you always have to have things your way. So the more you let things go, small things go, because once you get married, there's going to be a lot of little things that are going to bother you. The more you let things go, the more you don't major in minor things, it shows a sign that you're a big picture kind of person. You're not a small-minded individual. You don't need kavod all the time. So that's the first thing. Whether it's male or female, it's not a good sign in heaven. Remember, who has to bless the marriage? God. God has to bless the marriage. That's the number one thing. And the more you give in, the less you seek to be right, the less you seek when you go into a marriage without expectations. You're not seeking any kavod. You're not seeking anything. That's a sign that you're going to be successful right away. The more honor you need, the more respect you need, the more you need people to apologize all the time, it's a sign that you have very small intellect, that your intellect is small. So bigger the mind, smaller the mouth. Smaller the mind, bigger the mouth in a very short term. That's one thing. Because that's usually, unfortunately, it's usually one of the biggest problems in anything. It's who's right. Who cares who's right? The key is, if we're looking at this as a business proposition, the key is to win. The only way you win is if there's peace. So whatever effort a person has to make to get to that end goal is the key. Everything else doesn't really mean anything. The key is peace, because peace is the vehicle for everything. There's no peace, but you're right, but I'm right, but there's no peace. You didn't win. You didn't win because of honor. So right off the bat, we need to understand that sometimes either you're in love or you want to be right. Can't be both. But if I'm thinking about, like we're going to talk about the 7 habits of highly successful people, Stephen Covey's, and he says something right away. He says, think win-win. When I'm thinking win-win in life, what am I saying when I'm thinking win-win? I'm making my wife happy or I'm making my husband happy, but I'm also winning in heaven. Because the key to get the Shekhinah, to get God in your life, is peace. And we know this month, particular Tammuz, it's the month of tremendous amount of din, tremendous amount of judgment. It's a month of constriction. It's a month that you're probably going to have a much greater chance of fighting than a normal month, because these months, this month and Av, it's the summer months. It's a month of Asa, specifically the 3 weeks, the 21 days. There's a lot of judgment in the air, so you have to be extra careful in these months against anger, because you could feel it in the air. It's not so open in the air. There's a lot of constriction in the air. So right away we have to understand there's different times of the year that there's different energies in the air, and there's more likely a chance of fighting. So right away, the first thing you have to think about in your life, I want Hashem's al-kavod. Once you start giving away, once you start forgiving people, what are you saying? I don't need the kavod. I don't need honor. I'm forgiving you because I'd rather have God's honor. But if I don't want to forgive, or I want to be stuck in the past, a lot of the situations in relationships, it's being too stuck in the past. And I said, if you're going to talk about the past all the time, unless you're working for the History Channel, it's a waste of time. Because, again, you need more kavod. I'm right. But remember this. Again, it's a sign of Hashem being away from you. Away from you. If we talk about the last 3 classes that we had, first was Tomer Devorah. Tomer Devorah sets you up for one thing. Sets you up for being able to be godlike by forgiving. That any time we're able to match, we want to be godlike, we can forgive our spouse or forgive our significant other or parents. How do we tap into to be a creator, a co-creator like Hashem? When we emulate Him. When you emulate. Just like you wrong somebody, you wrong Hashem, so you can forgive quickly. That's emulation. The second class, the one right before, was on Hisbodedut. Using prayer to help you forgive Hashem, to forgive somebody. So you could see they're both very related, these two concepts. Okay? We also know the concept about there's definitely always usually a correlation between fighting and money problems. Again, back to the same concept. One parnasa, one fight chases away 100 opportunities according to some sages. So again, do you want to yell at the customer while 50 other customers are walking into the store? It's not a smart thing. You have 50 customers in a store, but you want to argue with one customer. You're going to lose 50 other opportunities. But yeah, I'm right. Yeah, you're right. Look at the other opportunities. So we also have to think big picture. Big picture. That's what I'm trying to think about Shalom. It's a big picture. What am I doing? What's the whole purpose here? That's what anytime that I always think, okay, what do I want from this situation? What do I want from this argument? Do I want to be in it? Do I want to be out of this thing in 10 minutes? Or do I want to be here for 3.5 hours? So it's very important to plan, to be proactive before you start a conversation, be proactive. These are some of the things, whether you believe in the Torah, you don't believe in the Torah, it's common sense. Common sense is you don't major in minor things. Common sense is you need peace, because obviously if a person, forget the Torah. If I'm all day long fighting, I'm not going to be focused at work. I'm not going to be able to be present in situations, and it's going to affect me all the way. So let's forget about whether it's Shalom Baruch or Rabbi Arizal or whatever it is. On a common sense basis, this makes sense also. That you can't walk into work and have fighting on your mind, and all of a sudden you become moody, and that affects the way you work, and you become angry. Usually people at work are not angry over work. They're angry about other things that were bottled up. So that's what we need to also understand. Number one thing for both men and women, stop running after honor. That's the biggest turn-off in heaven. Running after honor, running to be right all the time. Number one turn-off in heaven. Second one, obviously, is the one thing that God loves out of a person is self-control and self-confidence. Very important. Self-control and self-confidence are the key to anything. Self-control means somebody says something to me, I have self-control. I don't have to yell back at you because you say something. People that have self-control respond, they don't react. People that react all the time is because they're taking everything personal. Again, back to kavod, back to honor. So it doesn't allow, because sometimes you see the guy playing the woman role, the woman playing the guy role, and it's the wrong role. It's the wrong role in a relationship. So, but what are the things that are for sure that before anything else, if you always want to be right, or if you're majoring in minor things, that is definitely not going to work. We don't even have to begin the rest of the class, because you you're trying to take too much kavod. We know that the main test for guys is particularly their eyes, staying with their own plate. For women, it's honor. That's their test. So we each have a completely different test, which we're going to talk about that also. Okay? So again, the more dot you have, the more you recognize Hashem's in control. And sometimes between you and me, Rav Nachman says in lesson 69 something very, very deep. That before parnasa comes down to a person, before money comes down to a person, because money doesn't come from chesed, it comes from gevura, it comes from the left side, he can get tested with anger. He will get tested with anger. That means that you might get that comment right before that big deal is going to come. You're going to get that comment. Oh, by the way, you're going to screw up the deal again? Like you did last time? Expect those lines. They're going to come. Those lines are going to come. I told everybody the famous tortilla story. That my wife, my wife told me, please go get me tortillas for Shabbat. I want to have a Mexican Shabbat. And what happens? I bought every tortilla in the supermarket, but I came home, she says, I bought the wrong tortilla and I ruined her Shabbat. Okay, no problem. I can say, you should have done it, but no problem. And all of a sudden what happened? I'm thinking, I'm not going to go down for a tortilla right now. Because there's a reason why I'm getting tested in this situation. This is not normal to talk about a tortilla on Friday afternoon. So I said, and I remember that I learned that Torah, that money comes down right before, a test comes before money. And what happens, all of a sudden, I shut my mouth, I took the heat on the tortilla, and all of a sudden, the buyer called me on Sunday, he says, by the way, you sold the property on Friday afternoon. So it was a tortilla or the deal. At the same time, there was a tortilla or a business deal. You could have gone down for a tortilla. So we've all gone down for tortillas in life. We've all gone and said, why did I get upset? You ever recognize, why do I get upset over the stupidest little things? Because you're not thinking win-win. You're not thinking win-win. And no matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter how much money you have, no matter how good looking you are, you're going to get tested all the time. Why? Because it's made that way. The Holy Arizal says, Rav Avraham Azulai, says that something very beautiful. He says, the way a person acts with his creator is the way his spouse will act with him or her. Isn't that amazing? Sometimes people have commitment issues. I have many people that I'm trying to date on coaching on dating, etc. And they're complaining, nobody's ever committing to me. Okay, so why don't you try Shabbat one time? Try eating kosher. Try this. No, I don't like to commit. There you go. There's your answer. You don't want to commit? Nobody's going to commit to you. Measure for measure. The way you act, the way God reacts. So sometimes you're not getting the commitment because you're not committing. So try candles. No, I don't like to be timed on. Okay, so sometimes you have to recognize there's a big picture. If you keep on getting the same lesson over and over, it's forcing you to look inwards. And this is what the Arizal, what he says, that that your spouse is a mirror for you, specifically. And it teaches you, because why? If you're single, nobody's really telling you what to do. But once you get into a spouse, once you get into an opportunity, somebody's in your face, you have to develop, you have to give in. It forces you to give. That person is usually going to have things that it's specifically tailor-made for you, just like a tailor-made suit on specifically things that bother you. If you're a person that's very lazy, you're going to have a wife telling you, why are you still in bed at 8 o'clock in the morning? Thank God my wife doesn't tell me why am I in bed. I'm out of the house at 5 o'clock. She tells me other things. I have a different test with her. But everybody's test is based on their rectification. And it's specifically made for you so you can optimize your growth in life. So if we take it personal, we lose the picture. If we take it like, wow, this is the coach that God gave me. God gave me this coach to help me build my character. Remember, if I look at it like that, it's completely different. If I look at it, look, why are you doing this to me? How come you're saying this to me? You take it personal, you lose the whole tikkun. You lose the whole tikkun. Because you take it personal. So we have to understand there's a deeper picture. This is what he says. That the way a person acts with Hashem is exactly the way his wife will act with him. For example, if a person revolts against Hashem, then his wife will revolt against him. So again, according to your theory is your therapy. If you just say, this has nothing to do with Hashem, this is my wife, she's yelling at me. then you can really get the wrong diagnosis and you can lose the whole picture. Because we're looking at things as a what? As a spiritual issue. We're not looking at just as I go to a psychiatrist and he tells me what's wrong with me. Obviously there's a psychiatry part, but there's also a problem with the soul. Well, you have to deal with the soul. You can't just deal with the mind, you have to deal with the soul. So if I look at this, then what do? If I see a problem in that my wife is going against me or something, it's not about a control thing. It's a sign from God. God usually for guys, he'll hit you with two things. Money or Shalom Bayit to wake you up. Somehow or another, the guys wake up. They're not waking up, I'm not learning enough. What do I do, Gedale? My business is down, my parnas is the problem, what do I do? That's the wake-up calls. They don't wake up calls, I got a cold, what should I do? It's where it hurts you, because where it hurts you is where you're going to move. Because you need parnasa, obviously it's going to wake you up, and Shalom Bayit will definitely wake you up, no matter how you sleep. It wakes you up. Now, if you look at it, the sign that wake-up call is for you to get closer to your Creator, then you got the hint. Then you made the tikkun. Then you looked at the whole purpose, ended up becoming an opportunity for you to get closer to your Creator, to better up your prayer, to become more, to not argue so much, to work on your game. Then you got the hint, the problem goes away. Now, if you take that problem and you start yelling at the stick, look at the stick, it has nothing to do with me, I'm good. Or you say, please change my wife, change my husband, I'm good. Nothing wrong with me, then you lose the whole opportunity. That's why it's so important to understand there's a big picture going on. Okay, that's one thing we need to understand. The way to communicate, according to the Rav Shash, says, Shlomo HaMelech says something very beautiful. He says, a home, Shlomo HaMelech, is built with wisdom, not with a hammer. With wisdom, not with a hammer. So also, as the second half, the way you say things is a big deal. We had a class today in 5 steps to proper communication. The way you say, you could say the same message with encouragement, like you could do better than this, you're better than this, to wake up in the morning like this. It's not you to sleep in like this, or how long are you going to sleep like this? Am I working for you? Is this a bed and breakfast? There's the New Jersey way, like get out of the highway, and there's a proper way with proper encouragement. There's a Jersey Shore way, and there's the proper way to say it. So again, proper communication is very important. It's the same message, basically, get up, but you're better than this, it's not you. Or buy him an uncomfortable mattress, and he'll get up. Break the air condition, he'll get up, do something, but don't call him a lazy you-know-what, because that's where the name calling and that's where the resentment and all comes. You have to use proper communications. Again, you're better than this. That's not you. I know you. You used to do it better. What can we change? When you make it a project for both of you, what can we change? I promise you, you get so much more results than, what do you need to change? I'm good. Understand? Like if you have a problem with the spouse work, they put on a little weight. What should you say? Let's go running together. Not you run, I'm good. What time do you want to go running together? Or you want to say, you know what, I feel like becoming vegan. Even though if you don't feel like becoming vegan. You're doing it because you're getting the second half. But you shouldn't say, well, look at what you're eating all the time. Again, saying the message in a very, very different, that's what you need a lot of prayer to ask, how do I relay this message where I don't hurt the person? Right? You can change the little things. But if you tell them, this is who you are, why are you doing this all the time? You start building resentment, you start building that. So it's very important. The way to communicate, like Shlomo HaMelech and the Lubavitcher Rebbe says, is not with a hammer. Wisdom. Think about what you say, not hit them. Because everybody will remember the name calling. And they'll store it in 10 years, and they'll escrow you, and then they'll hit you a manslaughter for that name calling, and you'll never stop hearing about that name calling. One time you say it, that's it. 7 years sentence of you will hear that name call. And then something else happened. Oh, you want to do this also? They start associating the same incident with other triggers. Moroccan style, Ashkenazi style, don't worry. It happens with everybody. Been there, done that. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says, a king without a queen, the Zohar says, is neither great nor a king. For it is a woman who empowers a man to conquer, and it is the man that empowers a woman to nurture. And then when a woman will learn from this woman, then too he's going to reach a state. So clearly, behind every successful man is a successful woman. The purpose of the woman is to make him become the best guy. It's not today where we look for the trophy wife, we look for the wife that will help you get the trophy. That's what you want to look for. You don't want to just look for trophies, you want a wife that will help you get the trophy, to help you develop who you're supposed to be. Why I said today, I posted something and I got a lot of heat for it, that according to the Arizal, which is good, I like controversy. Controversy is good. And according to the Arizal, he's saying that the purpose of a woman's tikkun, a woman is generally more spiritual than a man. We have to understand that. Women are more spiritual than men, 100%. You have to believe that. They have a different rectification than we do. The Arizal says that every woman in this present generation has already attained her tikkun, or her soul correction, and she has been brought down to this world to help her husband reach his tikkun. It's a big concept. Let's talk about that concept. What does that mean for a guy, practically? That means she's there to help you. That means what kind of wife are you looking for today? Who are you trying to date? Are you looking for a cheerleader your whole life? Or are you looking for a person to help you get who you're supposed to be? There's a lot of people saying, I don't want the coach, I want the cheerleader. But a cheerleader is not going to help you win. No, I just want a cheerleader. I don't want to be told what to do. I want an easy life. I want this. And this is happening a lot. So what happens? You miss the opportunity to be great. Because you don't want to be instructed. You don't want to be criticized. You don't want to be helped. You just want something super easy. So it's very important, the guy, what kind of wife am I looking for on a date? You should see something about her that can make you better, not something that's going to please you all the time. That's the problem today's generation. Everybody wants it easy. I don't want to deal with headaches. Why should I deal with this girl? I can marry a girl, she'll do whatever I tell her. What kind of coach would you have if you did exactly what you told him? You would never become who you're supposed to be. Because the challenge is when you have somebody that's helping you get your tikkun. Don't you understand? So the fact that you want something so easy, and you want somebody that's easy, it's a character that you don't want to work, and you want the easy way out, and you want just to take care of your body instead of your soul. That is a problem right away. Just like you would never do a joint merchant with another company that has no benefit for your company. It's like Amazon doing a joint venture with a company that sells ice. What is that going to help them? What is that going to help them? They can produce their own ice. But that's what you're doing. You're stopping your growth. And that itself is frowned upon in heaven. Because you're not taking the opportunity to grow to your potential, to your tikkun, to etc., because you choose comfort over growth. Anytime you choose comfort over growth, it's going to be a problem. And like we said before, when something comes too easy for you and you don't work for it, we got this from the concept called the bread of shame, right? If something comes too easy and you don't work for it, you're going to end up getting sick of it because you didn't work for it. So there you go. You're going to get bored anyway. So you understand the problem here? And I hate to tell you, I would say 60 to 70% of the people that I'm dealing with, they don't want to deal with anybody that challenges them. They only want somebody, she has this issue, I don't like it. That's life. What do you mean she has this issue? Yeah, this is what normally happens. What? No, I don't want a thorn. I just want a rose. I don't want any thorns. No, that's not possible. You have to get pricked sometimes. It's good for you. But just wanting that mindset is already a losing mindset. Wanting that mindset of something easy. So what I'm telling you, why I say this, is the man has to recognize that he has to look for the right type of wife and the right type of significant other, because he wants somebody that he doesn't want a trainer to give him styrofoam. He wants a trainer to challenge him. If your trainer gave you styrofoam weights, you wouldn't be putting on any muscle. That's exactly what you're doing. And that itself, now you can give you an excuse. You could say, oh, these Jewish girls are after this, or this, she's after that, or she's after... Everybody comes up with excuses instead of making adjustments. They're all like that. You went on one bad date. They stereotypes to everybody. It's easy to make an excuse. You understand? That's what the Yetzer Hara does. It makes it very easy to make an excuse. So our problem is, once we take responsibility, we're able to draw malchut, which is parnasa. It's very important. The more you run away from responsibility in life, the less you're able to draw what? Malchut. Malchut is the actual vessel in order to receive any kind of heavenly light, abundance of light, anything. That's why drugs are such an issue. That's why weed is such an issue. All of these things, what do? I don't want to deal with anything, deal with pain. Let me just get high and I'll deal with it. I have much better Shalom Bayit when I get high. Yeah, because you're not dealing with the truth. Do you understand the problem? You're not dealing with the truth, so you can't get the salvation. You're supposed to struggle. You're supposed to take that broken heart in that conversation and that struggle you're having with your spouse, and you're supposed to take it in prayer and elevate yourself through prayer. You're not supposed to numb it out and saying, I'm good. I don't want to deal with this stuff. That does not allow you to draw from malchut. So that's why there's such a penalty and there's a lack of growth anytime there's any kind of substance out there. Because you're not dealing with the truth. You're just saying, I don't want to deal with it. I could deal with it better ways. That's another thing we need to understand. Approach life, not avoid life. Approaching life creates vessels, creates growth. The opposite creates nothing. Zero. Creates pressing problems. It's another thing we need to understand. Very, very important. So according to True Mission, her issue is, what is a woman's issue? Her issue is definitely honor. Now, this is a problem. Rav Nathan says something very beautiful, why a woman goes to the mikvah. Because her original sin, the woman's original sin, was rooted in ego. Because she wanted to be just like man. She tried to, instead of separating from man, she wanted the pride. Her sin was pride. She wanted to taste the forbidden fruit. So what happens? Because she tried to separate from man, she got decreed that she would be separated from man and she would be nida. So that's why women have to go to the mikvah, because they tried to separate, now you separate. So what happens once they go into the mikvah, then they're able to connect themselves to humility, and once they go to the mikvah, then they're allowed back to their husbands. It's a tikkun on her for pride. Where does this pride go? Let's say, not being in your lane, comparing your life to other people's life is definitely a problem with honor. How come their house is bigger? So you can ruin a relationship. It could be your possible zivug right there, but you're running after too much of a stimulus package instead of spiritual package. Remember, the stimulus package comes once there's unity and blessing. Many times, I tell people, once you get married, the mazal opens up. It opens up once there's a zivug. But sometimes if you're looking for, something too much before, that can affect it. So only looking for stimulus instead of spiritual will definitely affect that. So kavod means, well, what are my friends going to think if I date this guy? He's not so successful. What is she? Why is she living in another house? So she can ruin her tikkun, her mission, because of honor, because of too much honor. That is her number one test, is honor, honor, honor. Wanting to be right. Honor is also comparing yourself to other people. Honor is also saying, how come I'm sitting here cleaning dishes on Passover and they're in Cancun having a fun life? That can ruin relationships. That can bring machlochet because of honor. Honor, 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 honor. How much honor do you need? That can ruin the relationship. So that is the woman's toughest thing, is the respect, the honor, just the constant honor. Other things, holding grudges is honor. Fighting over families. This is all creates problems because of honor, honor, honor. The guy just wants to deal with it. He just wants the problem over. She wants to be right. So we have to all know what our weaknesses are. We have to know what our weaknesses are. I know what my weaknesses are. Guys don't care about it. They just forgive and they let it go. You're wrong with me, I'll forgive you. Women have a tougher time because man is intellect. Woman is, again, feelings, more feelings than intellect. She's also blessed, Rabbi Rush says, with bina, intuition. That's another thing. Man is chokhmah, wisdom. Woman is intuition. So sometimes you'll see that your wife will see, don't speak to this guy here. Something's up with the guy. Don't do business with him. What do you know about this business? What do you know about this? You don't know anything. She can pick up things that he can't pick up because she's intuition. So what happens? He doesn't listen to her. He loses the money. And what does she say? You never listen to me. So that could be a problem. That could be a problem. You have to understand. She's gifted she's got intuition. She was born with Binah. So if a woman, that's what the Gemara says, listen to your wife. Bend down and listen to her. Specifically about business, it's a very humbling experience, but I listen to my wife all the time and she's usually right. She has intuition that I don't have, and that's the way she's built that way. So when you have proper respect, you do take her advice. If you don't have proper respect, what do you tell her? You don't know anything. What do you know about business? Just stay here. And what happens? He shuts off her lights. He disrespects her, and he doesn't get light. See where this all? You see the problem is if you don't have the dot, you're going to suffer. Because you're going to argue with her about business, and she's telling you, listen, I'm saving you. Because remember, it's the same soul. It's the same soul. And just like Rav Nachman says in lesson 69, somebody's trying to attack the soul, she senses the attack before you will. Intuition says, it's not logic, we're logical. Oh, he's a nice guy. She's like, no, he's out to get you. So again, if you don't have the system, then you start saying, what do you know about these things? And you can start, brings on the fight. You lose trust in a relationship, and then when there's no trust in the relationship, the rest is history. The rest is history. And then they're against each other. So again, that's why as the man becoming the sun, he's supposed to give her light. The more light you give to your wife, she's the moon. She has no light on her own. The more light you get back. Isn't that amazing? You get the light back. So that's why it's important to learn Torah or to learn wisdom. Because the more light you have, the more you're going to give to her, and the more you're going to get it back. It's going to come back to you. It's going to come back to you all the time. But if you don't respect, what happens? She doesn't get the light. She feels a diminution of light, and obviously it's not going to be bounced back on you. And remember, this is something, when you're listening to your wife about something that she feels, and you're a logical person, it's pretty hard to take her advice because it doesn't make any sense. Right? Doesn't make any sense. Did you see the business plan? Did you see this? You have to go in, you have to respect her on that sense. And this is exactly what she was born. She's born with Binah. The Hebrew word for built is yaven. Comes from the same word as Binah, insight. A woman has insight, she could size up a guest. Don't invite that person over. He's no good, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that. She's usually right. And you have to respect that portion. Because if you fight over her over that could, and this is why the Torah says, which is another issue, is sometimes, the husbands get out of mommy's house. And then they start comparing to mommy's house. You don't cook like my mommy. You don't do this like mom. Comparing themselves to their mothers. That's another way to destroy a relationship. Because she can't handle pride. She has to be number one. She's number one, she gets the light back to her. This is what he says. Therefore, a man shall leave his wife and mother and cling to his wife, and then they'll become one flesh. So always, if it's a parent, it's a mother-in-law, etc. I know there's a lot of mother-in-law issues, but you have to take your wife's side. If you don't take your wife's side in a family issue, you're going to be sleeping in the garage. It's a segula to sleep in the garage, because you will sleep in the garage. Because again, anytime you take another opinion of another woman, you took an opinion of another woman, it could be your mother, it could be an employee, it could be this, automatically attack. Every woman's like that. Now, what happens if you don't know this? What happens if you don't know? I didn't know. You have to know. You can't just say, I don't know anymore. What does the Gemara say? If you don't know, you suffer. Lack of dot is the cause of suffering. So you can't say, I didn't know. It's not enough. Just like you would have, there's candy that says fat-free on it. It's candy, it's sugar. Yes, no fat, but the sugar turns into fat. But if you don't know, wow, how come I'm gaining weight? I'm eating no fat candy. Well, you have to know that sugar turns into fat. But why did they say it? You have to research. And you have to recognize it's a metabolism issue. You can't just say, I didn't know. That doesn't work in heaven, I promise you. So you get a little pain until you get aroused to know. People say, I don't know. Well, you got to know. What time do the Dolphins play? You know the time? Of course you know. So you figured that one out. You got to also know this too. It can't just be, we know everything. We know what time the shows are on. We know the time the heat starts. We know every trade. We know this, that, everything you know, but you know this? No, I don't know. Can't be. Ignorance is not. You can't use that. You can't use that excuse in heaven anymore. It doesn't work. So you get a little suffering in life. And this is what he's saying here. Making your wife's first priority is not just a nice thing. It's a demand from the Torah. It's a demand from the Torah. The Torah is demanding you. You have to make her number one. It's demanded. It's the Raisa. That's it. You have no options. So make sure the one you love the one you're with, because you're going to have to make her number one. And this is what he's saying here. A wife too has to encourage her husband, as the Rambam says. She should do what's pleasing in his eyes. But at the end of the day, the number one thing is, do not stand up for another woman ever. Ever. Over your wife, you're guaranteed to sleep in the garage. Every time. Even if you're right. Nobody's talking here about being wrong, about being right. Let's get that straight. Even if you're 100% right, and you're going to say, but I'm right. That's not what the reward is. The reward is honoring the light. The more light you give, the more light you get back. So you have to, as a man, has to understand that what am I wired in? She's got something that I don't know. If I don't know this, I'm going to end up suffering. Another thing that we have to issues is listening. Listening is hod in the Torah. Stephen Covey says a great line. It says, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Reply. Sometimes Hashem wants self-control and self-confidence. If you tell somebody something, and they say it to you, you just have to say, you know what, I'll look into it. Maybe you're right. But when you reply, it shows defensive. It shows not confidence. It shows weakness. And then, what are they going to say? I can't talk to him. Every time I try to tell him something, he gets defensive. And that is a diminish of light. Diminish of light. Because then you become a co-CEO with her. And it doesn't work that way, obviously. So again, yes, I'll listen. I'll be a person who's confident is always willing to take criticism. It's not easy. Let's get this straight. This is not an easy thing, especially if you're in the heat of the battle. It's not easy to take criticism. It's very difficult to take criticism because it hurts the ego. But the ego is the cause of pain. The soul is the cause of healing. So now I think of myself, okay, win. What is my end goal? Peace. That's it. What do I need to do to get peace? That's pretty much the mindset that a person should have. What do I need to do? If you have to make peace, if you have to give in to make peace, do it. This is what the Lubavitcher Rebbe says. A good wife is one who makes her husband want the right things. The blessing a man receives, according to the sages, are not for himself, but for his wife on her account. Back to the same thing. The more I honor the soul, the more I get honor. I get more light into that. So it goes against criticizing, being right, fighting. This all has the same problem as not honoring the second half of the soul and not showing self-control and self-confidence and showing what? Too much kavod. You understand why you need tefillah? You know why it's so important, tefillah? Because you can't do this by yourself. You can't do this by yourself. You're not going to be able to I promise you, if you try yourself to say, okay, I'm not going to react. I'm going to respond. You can say it 1,000 times, but unless you pray for it and you ask your Creator for help, you're going to fail at it. That's what prayer is used for, is to beg your Creator for help. I promise you, when I pray for it, I get help from it. If I don't pray for it, I got it in the bag. I teach the classes, fall every single time. Because your Yetzer Hara, your evil inclination, continues to get stronger every day. It doesn't sit at grade 1. It gets stronger. And once you think you have it in the bag, then it goes 10 times on you. You should say, I'm far from this. I need so much work on this. When I'm telling you this class, I'm learning with you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm learning also here in this class. If I say I got it in the bag, I'm done. I'm done. I'm gonna get attacked from 10 sides. But when your approach in his bodhidut is, or in prayer is, I'm so far away from this heal, please help me achieve marital peace for your sake. Not for me, because if I say for me, I just want to be left alone. I don't want to be bothered. That means it's a selfish prayer. But if you're doing it for the sake of the Shekhinah, that God should dwell in your house, then your prayer is really for the sake of the Shekhinah. You understand? Different prayer. It ups the prayer 10 times. Because I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it because I want peace in the house. When does the evil inclination hit you hardest? It hits you right before Shabbat usually. Those 2.5 hours right before Shabbat, because it knows it was going for the kill. If it gets you on Friday night, Friday afternoon, you got the whole weekend. You're fighting the whole weekend. And Shabbat is the source of blessing. So you have to almost know who your enemy is. You have to know how your enemies, and you have, just as Stephen Covey says, be proactive. Proactive. Have the goal end in mind. Don't just go and say, I have a Shalom Bayit. No, know that there's a Yetzer Hara coming right before Shabbat to ruin your whole weekend, and know you might get tested on little things. Be extra careful and say a prayer on those days. These kind of things also. Another thing, if a person's having a rocky Shalom Bayit, what should he do? He should feed other people's tables. Because where do most people fight? At the table. Why do I just say, why do people fight at the table so much? It's because you're not taking care of somebody else's table. So when you eat comfortable and you don't take care of somebody else's table, what happens? The table seeks revenge on you. So it's very important, specifically in the holidays. Give charity to other people's tables. It's a great segula for Shalom Bayit, because measure for measure. If I made this family happy, guess what? Hashem will make your family happy. So always forces us, if you look at it, if the ego and the emotions are not kicking, what should you do? You look outside of yourself and you say, what can I do to fix the situation? Very simple. I can pray. I can give tzedakah. These things is all you changing, not the situation changing. It's forcing you to look outside of you. And this is what he's saying. Nothing is greater than peace, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says. Nothing is greater than peace. No arguments, no in-laws, nothing. Even when you're 100% right, the Lubavitcher Rebbe is telling you, and know that your spouse is 100% wrong, you can still give in for the sake of peace. He says, better a difficult peace than an easy quarrel. Because you're thinking win-win. That is why, if you do not think win-win, and if you're not thinking the whole picture, and if you're just thinking reaction, and who's right, and this, and that, and what's your role, what's your problem, and being stuck, then you have no vehicle for peace. Remember, light is coming down. Hashem's light does not come down in drips. It only comes down according to the person's vessel. If the vessel is whole, the light comes down. If the vessel is not whole, what do you want from the light? It's nothing to do with the light. It has to do with the vessel. The vessel is what it creates. So now we know self-control, self-confidence, going to a relationship to give, not to take. Because taking is what? Kavod. I shouldn't want to take. Many people ask me, what do you think about, dating somebody with kids? I said, you just have a greater relationship to give now. Now you're really giving double. So these are opportunities. It's not that the person is flawed. Maybe that's what heaven wants, you to be in that relationship with 2 kids. My wife married me with 2 kids. Did she sign up for that? Did she know she was going to do it? No! But that was what was needed for her. She couldn't. She got blessed with 3 other kids after that. So you see the blessings that come? Don't sit there and say, oh, what? I have to marry a divorce? Is the dating scene that bad? Hear the comments that come out of people's mouth. Opportunities usually don't come like sunshines. They usually come like dark clouds. And today it's not finding Cinderella. It's finding the beauty in the beast. You're watching the wrong movie. You're waiting for the slipper. You're waiting for the slipper to come in Rodeo Drive. No, it's finding the beauty in the beast. Finding the beauty in your partner. That's the movie you should be watching. Got the wrong movie. I don't understand. I'm waiting for the slipper. I'm waiting for the slipper. You're not going to get the slipper. When you transform yourself, you start seeing things. When you give in, when you're in a tough situation, then you start giving into things. So may Hashem help us that we should all marry with peace, and we should use all these tools. There's a lot of tools here. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much, but there's a lot of tools. Kavod, self-control, looking for opportunities to give, not to take. Why do you think our sages say, when you're stuck in life, what should you do? Go volunteer. Every single rabbi will tell you. You're having a problem with kids? Go volunteer at a hospital. You're having a problem with this? Go help somebody's get somebody married. It's always forcing you. The lack is created for you to go create something for somebody else. Because if you never had the lack, you would never give. So the lack has to happen in life. The lack forces you to change. So when you have a lacking in life, use that lack for a purpose. Don't use that lack to say, I'm getting a raw deal. All right? That's today's class.